Hello, everyone. I'm going to, are we letting attendees in or, yep, automatically. Looks good. Hi, everyone. Welcome. We're just going to give it a minute for everybody else to hop in. And while we are doing that, we'd like to play this game to figure out where everyone's calling in from. So while we're waiting, if you're on and you hear me, drop in the chat where you're joining us from. Binghamton, New York. Great. Hello, Dominic. Ooh, DC. Yes, Happy New Year's as well. London, we've got Boston, Brooklyn, Cliffside Park, Brooklyn again. Great representation out there in the New York area. So for those who are just joining us, we're just going to give it a minute and we're asking folks to drop in the chat where you're joining us from. Aloha as well to John, LA. Hey, Manon. I'm also in LA right now. All right. So we're about a minute into this webinar. We are very big fans of starting almost on time. More folks from New York, New York, New York. Awesome. So this webinar is an info session about Venture for Climate Tech. Welcome, everybody. I am going to go ahead and get started. But prior to jumping into our info session, there's just a couple of logistics. So in this webinar, there are a couple of options. There's a chat feature, which some of you have found for our little exercise here. But also, there's a Q&A function right next to the chat. So throughout today's meeting, if you have any questions, please try your best to throw your questions in Q&A because my team here, Chris, Devin, and Scott, will be monitoring that and answering questions throughout. And for those who we think we want to hold to the end of the webinar, we'll hold those questions and then they'll all come on video and then answer those questions with the group as well. So one more time, the Q&A function that is at the option next to the chat box is where you should put some of your questions if you have any throughout today's session. Okay, so with that said, I will get started. So hello everyone, my name is Jenny. I am the director here at Venture for Climate Tech, and today we are going to do an info session about Venture for Climate Tech. So to kick us off as introductions, y'all might obviously know a little bit about us because that's why you're here with us today. But just so we're all on the same page, Venture for Climate Tech is a nonprofit accelerator that our purpose here is really to secure a brighter and more sustainable future. And to do that, we support a diverse set of founders with a coalition of investors, mentors, technical experts that are all committed to catalyzing new climate tech solutions. We have a 6-month virtual program, so those joining from different parts of the world, you are all very welcome. In fact, 15% of our last class were international companies. We are taking 20 pre-seed and seed stage startups per cohort. So the one coming up this May, we are looking for 20 amazing companies to join us. And one of the coolest things I think about our program is that you can get up to $50,000 in non-dilutive funding. We can talk a little bit more about that in the coming slides. We are funded by NYSERDA, and we are administered by 2 organizations, NextCore, which is the org that I'm a part of, and also Second Muse. So a couple of accomplishments to date. We'll share that we've had 3 cohorts and 43 startups that have graduated. During the program, each team on average has 2x their team size, and collectively they have received $29 million in non-dilutive funding, and then have also raised $56 million in follow-on funding. Our founders have won grants and fellowships through the likes of Breakthrough Energy, through SIBRS, ARPA-E, Department of Energy, NSF, Activate, and so much more. So on the team, we have Jack Barron, who is the managing director of NextCore. Jack is a serial entrepreneur. His last exit was actually at $2 billion. He's an angel investor as well, but with a tech background and an MBA, he has a lot to share with his experience building up climate tech companies. I'm Jenny Leung. I have spent the last couple of years in venture, but most recently, the last 2 years at Techstars, being their senior program director for 5 programs, Techstars LA, Techstars Healthcare, and Techstars Space. I'm also a two-time founder myself. I have an MBA from UCLA, and I'm also a lecturer at UCLA. On today's call, we also have Devin, Scott, and Chris. Oh, one thing I didn't say at the beginning is we will share this deck out at the end, so you can mouse over and click on links we have added throughout the deck to get to know our team a little bit further. We also have 2 great EIRs as part of NextCore and our partners here at Second Muse. You're also in wonderful company because our board is composed of some amazing folks from the Foundry Group, from Buoyant Ventures, from Aspen Technology, Clean Energy Ventures, Earthshot Ventures, for example. And again, you can take a look at all of our board members. And so these are folks that you will have access to and have interactions with, especially during our market opportunity pitch, which I will talk about more in a few slides. But again, great company to be a part of. Okay, I want to talk about these sectors that we are particularly interested, especially in New York State. They are buildings, transportation, grid, and industry. I will dive deep into each of these. We're looking for technologies that can have substantial impact in these sectors. However, the list that I'm about to share is not exhaustive, nor are these 4 sectors exhaustive as well. But these are typically the biggest ones that we see because 32% of New York State's emissions comes from buildings. And so some example technologies that we have seen in the past and are looking for today are those in building management systems, energy efficiency, cooling, electrification, and insurtech. Under transportation, that makes up 28% of New York State's emissions. We're looking at EV charging, micromobility, energy storage, fuel cells, freight, and air transportation. Under grid, which makes up 13% of New York State's emissions, we're looking at storage as a transmission asset, smart energy management, renewables, and distribution. And under industry, just a little bit of a catch-all, 9% of New York State's emissions, we're looking at things like green hydrogen, construction, waste management, supply chain management, heat energy recovery. So I might pause here before we get to our part 2. I am not actively looking at the Q&A since my team is, but let me pause and see if the team has anything that they want to share or answer collectively.
Yeah, so there was a great question from Zeev Drucker regarding how the accelerator functions. Is it repetitive with other accelerators, especially ones like CleanTech Open that are already sort of part of the NYSERDA ecosystem? So with regard to that one, several of our companies have gone through CleanTech Open both before and after our program. There's inevitably going to be some overlap, like customer discovery, a lot of the business foundational work you'll get some support on with other accelerators as well. We tend to be pretty high touch. It's a lot of mentorship focus and focus on us helping you with whatever your present needs are. So we can make sure that that is less directed towards areas you already have covered, obviously. But a lot of these things are things that it doesn't hurt to hear twice, and hearing it from other perspectives and making new connections is valuable. So yeah, there is going to be some overlap, but we think that there's enough differentiation and enough value added that we aren't concerned about people coming in who have gone through other programs like CleanTech Open and wouldn't be concerned about people going through CleanTech Open after us.
Yeah. And to that point, CleanTech Open is a great example, but it's not uncommon for our founders to have come from other accelerators such as Techstars or Elemental or The Alchemist, and then, or the other way around, they come into our program and then bounce into other accelerator programs as well. I think maybe one of the things that I want to maybe call out is that V4C is non-dilutive, whereas a lot of these other ones are dilutive. And so sometimes that is also another value proposition that people love about this program. But thanks for asking the question. Is there any other ones that, Devin, you want to?
There's one other one I can take quickly.
Okay.
So there's also a question about a fundraising limit for grants. So the high level answer there is we don't care how much you've raised in non-dilutive funding. If you've won breakthrough fellowships, things of that nature, that's not a concern for us. That's great. You've gotten something that can help you do the technical work you need to do. We're going to be more focused on the business side. So there are no limitations on how much grant money you can have in.
Thank you, Devin. All right. I will move on to part two. So this is much more about the accelerator itself and what to expect. So starting with some program highlights, we're here to recruit high impact founders and innovations. And again, it's a 6-month virtual program. It's high touch, like Devin has just alluded to, and I'll tell you what that looks like in the next slide. And it's split into 3 phases, which I will also talk about. We, again, are giving up to $50,000 in non-dilutive funding throughout the program. And again, we recruit globally. We have companies from all over the world, but we have a New York lens. Your technology has to be deployable in the state of New York, or at least have market size here. So the New York State lens is quite important. Again, angel or pre-seed stages are ideal, and you don't have to be incorporated or have a co-founder. That's something that is part of your journey that we are here to help you with if you are not there yet. Also, the commitment here is about 5 to 10 hours per week, so it's part-time, very part-time here. So you can still work on your company as you are going through this program. Now, as a high-level program overview of what to expect in those 6 months, again, we've broken them up into 3 phases. The first phase starts in mid-May, which is when the cohort starts. So at that point, the 20 teams that come in will be awarded $5,000 in non-dilutive grants, and the curriculum will include things such as customer discovery, go-to-market plans, GHG impact analysis, IP strategy, and et cetera. We will also do a mentor matching process with lots of folks that can support you in any way that you're looking to be supported in. And we will do a market opportunity pitch to help you advance the next round. This market opportunity pitch is actually where you get to meet a lot of our board members. So phase 2 will start in early August. There's no real gap between these. It's just that this is when it'll start as the curriculum goes. So for those who pitch at the market opportunity pitch, up to 10 teams will be awarded $25,000 in non-dilutive grants. However, this doesn't mean that the other 10 who pitch are just out of the program. We highly encourage you to continue on because the curriculum continues to talk through fundraising and sales. And then also we will have a demo day at the end of all of this. So all teams will at that point receive $2,500 in travel stipend for you to come to New York. During mid-September, which is during the New York Climate Week. For those who have had a chance to go to this, it is so energetic. There's so much going on and so many people flying in for it, which makes it a great place for us to do demo day and have an audience for you to pitch your company to the network that we have and beyond. And then phase 3, this is after demo day. This will be in late September. Our investor matching funds open up, and we could talk more about what that looks like if anyone has questions there, because that's how you get up to that $50,000 in non-dilutive funding. But we also provide post-graduation support. I think for those of us who come from the accelerator world, a lot of times you do demo day and you kind of just drop off, but we don't like that. So we do have continued investment and fundraising support and continued mentoring as needed for you. Now, a glance at an average week, this is your 5 to 10 hour commitment. There's one stand-up or all hands meeting that we like to call it with the core cohort. So it's a chance for you to get to meet everybody else, to build relationships with your cohort mates, learn from everybody else, and hear how things are going and challenges that you may be facing at the same time. We will also have 1 to 2 curriculum sessions, which are usually on Tuesdays and Thursdays. And then we have a one-on-one coaching session with the V4C team, either with the managing director and or director, which is me, and or our EIRs. You will have unlimited mentor meetings that are determined by you. So again, in phase 1, we match you with mentors. That relationship will be yours to keep. And depending on how you want to work those meetings with them into your schedule, that is completely up to you. But in that sense, it is unlimited by you. And it's always an open door policy. I know we're saying we only get to meet with you, for 5 to 10 hours a week, but if anything ever comes up, we're here for you. So we're on Slack. We will be available to you at any point in time that you need. So that's what our open door looks like. I will maybe pause here because I want to then dive into three alumni that we're really, really proud of to share a little bit about their journey, how and where they are today. Do I have any questions here in terms of like the program itself? So if my team says nothing for now, then we will probably hold some questions to the end, or they're being answered in the Q&A session right now. Okay, so I want to share three companies with you. The first one is Volt Post. Volt Post, they transform lamp posts that are on our streets today into smart electric vehicle charging stations that you can actually manage through a mobile application. Jeff, the founder, has raised about 4.9 million at this point. He's closing a 5 million round pretty soon. And currently working with the state of Michigan to deploy these lamp posts charging in Detroit. And the team has grown from a size of 3 to a size of 10 at this point. Mars Materials is founded by Aaron. He is building this technology that commercializes technology, converting CO2 and biomass into low cost and low carbon feedstock used for thermoplastics and synthetic fibers such as 3D printing filaments and carbon fibers. We get a lot of technical teams in our cohort coming from academia, for example, and have commercialized some sort of technology that can get transferred into the public setting. And so this one, right now, Aaron is working on reducing carbon fiber production cost by 50%, and then hoping to store a gigaton of CO2 into everyday products. He has raised about $5 million, but 4.3 of that is non-dilutive. He is a Breakthrough Energy Fellow as well. And our last alumni I'd like to share with you is Olakin Minerals. They extract valuable metals and minerals from salty mineral-rich wastewater streams, and they put it into things that can create products like concrete to build infrastructure, fertilizers for agriculture, and batteries for electronics and vehicles. So Lacey has raised over 1 million in her seed round, but also almost another million in non-dilutive funding. So I think there's a theme here. It's all non-dilutive funding as a capital stack for our founders here. She's also now currently in Elemental Accelerator. So again, very common for people to come from different accelerators or go to different accelerators after this. Okay. So I'm going to jump into part 3, which is specifically about our next cohort, applications, timelines, and more of the logistics here. So our applications are now open. We will drop the link at the end of this webinar so you can take a look if you haven't already. But it will close on Friday, March 1st. So please try to get them in sooner the better, not the last minute, because once it closes, it closes. So between Friday, March 1st and the next month, Friday, April 5th, we will be doing interviews and bootcamp selection. Bootcamp will happen between Monday, April 15th and Thursday, April 18th. And bootcamp, I will talk about a lot more detail in this next slide. It is part of our down selection process, and I think it's kind of special compared to some of the other down selections that I've been a part of in other accelerators. And our cohort will be finalized on Friday, May 3rd, with the cohort starting on Monday, May 20th. There's a little asterisk here that says dates are tentative and subject to change. However, I think we're pretty set on the timeline. If anything were to change, you would obviously get notification of it, but this is the beat that we are drumming to. Okay, so bootcamp specifically is something that we do for founders who are going through our down selection process. This is a chance for us to provide value to you prior to entering the cohort. This bootcamp is a 1-week intensive, and it is aimed at introducing teams to a number of fundamental building blocks that are part of our startup curriculum. For example, we'll talk through building the right team. We'll talk through pitch decks. We'll also help talk through setting up your data room and many other things. And so this bootcamp, is here to provide value to you as startups. Will help connect candidates to our community, but also will allow us as a V4C team to assess the coachability and fit of you as part of our program. All right, so let me jump into our applicants must have. So these next 2 slides are about you. The technology that you are working on has to have a potential impact for substantial reduction in greenhouse gas emissions. We're looking for a team that is coachable, driven, and self-aware. And you have to have a market and impact in the New York State area, and a commitment to supporting and or benefiting New York's communities and larger climate tech ecosystem. Some keys to a strong application include being very specific when you're outlining the impact that your technology and the problem that you're solving. So make sure to give us examples. Really hone in on how this could be applied in New York State. And if you have any competitors, do share them because the competition can really help validate the market. And lastly, be yourself. I know it's super cliche, but experience can be gained in many ways, like for example, our curriculum through mentorship, etc. But we really care about who you are as we are assessing companies that come through our application process. Okay, this is maybe my last slide that I want to share with you. I'm not going to read through all of this, but these are some things that our founder have said in the past. So Nate Poon from Able Aerospace talked about how valuable the one-on-one mentorship was, and then how it was instrumental in helping them make introductions that allowed them to get launch pilots and get the ball rolling. Karen at Amovia talked about how it was always extremely helpful to that the team was able to help come up with solutions, suggestions, and really coach them through the most critical challenges of the company every week. So again, we are high touch. We're here for you every week through the program to help you solve whatever it is that you're looking to solve. And Brian from Banyan talked about how V4C catapulted the company to the next level with the well-planned weekly curriculum that covered all bases. So we are very intentional about what we do in our curriculum and how that builds on top of each other, but also that the non-dilutive funding really had an immediate impact on his business. Okay, so with that said, this is our application link. It is on a portal called F6S. My team will now drop it in the chat for you, but you can also grab your phones and take the QR code that's here. So I will give it maybe 10 more seconds for those of you that are scanning, and then just making sure that the app link lands in the chat, but we're probably going to send this out at the end with the link as well. So, okay, cool. The link is in chat. So, all right, that is it from my part. Thanks for sticking with me. I will ask my team to now come on video. I will stop sharing and we can answer any questions that you have. And or if our team has questions that you've saved up that you want to answer for the group, please feel free to do that.
Yeah, so I'm just going to start pulling from the top of the Q&A, and I've answered a couple ones privately to people that were really relevant to them specifically rather than to everyone. So most of the questions we're going to be going over here will be more general questions. So from Cam Rafi, how do you assess the climate impact? Um, so high level, there are a number of ways to do this. Part of our curriculum in phase one is figuring out how to articulate your climate impact and really quantifying it. There are a couple different tools that we use to walk through this. Uh, I'm breaking. Sorry. I'm trying to remember the name of the
Oh,
tools.
Crane? Oh, are you? Yeah, you thinking
There's
of
the
the?
Crane tool and the simple emissions reduction calculator, the CIRC tool, are
Mhm.
two that we coach people through. Really, it depends on how your technology works and how you want to build the narrative around it. Because many technologies are primarily going to be use phase, and there are easy ways to basic calculations on a per unit basis for the use phase of the technology. Essentially, what we advocate is for people to figure out a way to articulate this in a way that's meaningful and to tell their story, but not to go too deep on it too early, because the details of how your technology is going to work at a per unit basis is going to change over time as you evolve the design. And putting too much time into it early just means you'll have to redo those calculations over and over.
Yeah, and to pull it back, and well said, by the way, Devin. To pull it back in the sense of how we assess via the applications and due diligence as we down select through the application process. To Devin's point, it's really articulating a narrative aspect. If you have quantified it and have an analysis in that way and that you want to add into the application, by all means do it. But when it comes to what we're looking for in the application process, it's very much the narrative behind it and where you see your impact going. because we don't expect teams at this point to have the, when it comes to a application process, to have those numbers down there. So yeah, I think from a assessment for applications, that's where we're at.
Cool. The next one we have was, you guys are set with that one?
Yeah, just don't delete that one, Chris, because I have some direct responses to their question that are really pertaining to them that I'm going to put into them.
Oh,
Sorry.
the next question was, you mentioned the team's 2x on average during the program. Do you help with the recruiting co-founders, part-time resources, full-time, etc.? Which, in a sense, we do just through connections that we have in our own network, and we've had a couple. Well, I guess this was in the predecessor program, like Dimensional Energy, where we combined two founders, and then become quite a successful company.
I can speak to that a bit as well.
Yeah.
So there are a couple different ways that we help people directly. One is we have mentors work with you throughout the program. Another is there's a program that NYSERDA funds called the NYSERDA EIR program, where they bring in essentially a list of 80 or 100 C-level people and say, hey, what do you need help with? We can match you with 3 people with expertise. You will talk to them, you will find one who you like working with, and they will work with you for a 20-hour contract. Then once that's done, you can say, hey, I need more of their time, or I need a different set of expertise, and they'll find someone for you. So that's a way to get sort of part-time coverage for certain gaps early on. But the other side is mentors. We have a big mentor magic process where you're going to work with a lot of different people for a short period of time, get to know them, and figure out where you need help and who you want to work with. And a couple of our mentors have actually joined teams after that because they've had good chemistry, things have worked well together, and that's been a starting point for them. But the other ways we help you build your team is helping you identify people in the ecosystem who are a good fit for you. We had a lot of people reaching out to us because they know that we work with a lot of companies saying, hey, I have this skill set. I want to work with a company in this area. Do you have someone who that might be a fit for? Beyond that, we do a lot of coaching on how to do early HR, like how to do part-time hires, how to use equity with your co-founder, things like that. And just making sure that you have all the fundamentals down to basically execute on it when you find the right person, as well as trying to help you find the right person.
I might add that I know we're specifically talking about Venture for Climate Tech, but NextCore runs several accelerators. And so our talent pool isn't just at V4C, it's with all of our other sister accelerators as well. And so whenever you have a need, bring it up and we will do everything that we have in our network to help you find the right person.
Yeah, and also more holistically speaking as well, there's a portion of our curriculum where we bring in experts, outside speakers to talk on this behalf. It's a lot more foundational and structural, not so to add on to, what Jenny and Devin and Chris had mentioned, but, to take even a bigger step back, we do have, it is a part of our, to coach y'all up on how to approach your early hires.
Right. So the next question, shall we move on?
Yeah. Do you connect participants with other entities in the New York City ecosystem as customers for pilots? Which we kind of addressed this one already, but we can dive deeper.
Yeah, so I mean, the short answer is yes. I wouldn't limit to New York State either. Based on our networks, we have a lot of connections both within and outside of the state. And through our coaching and mentoring, we're going to be figuring out exactly what you need and who the right people are to connect you to.
Yeah, and there was a question that kind of came in via our chat that I think can piggyback off of it is, can you connect us to utilities and city agencies for demo projects? I think that's all we definitely can, and our ecosystem gets bigger and bigger as time goes on. So that's definitely an aspect that we can help out with, and we have helped out with in the past, but it's more on a case-by-case basis that we do focus more on that individual internal coaching that we have weekly with you all.
Right. And one note on city agencies is that New York City agencies can be kind of hard to break into. So we often advise people to get some proof points outside of that with maybe some of the suburbs before you try to break into the city itself.
Yeah.
Okay, should we move on to John's question?
Yeah, let's move to the second one. I'll respond to his first one on there.
Okay.
So at a high level, solo founders are fine. Like Y Combinator, Techstars, a lot of other programs require you to have at least 2 co-founders. We don't want to force a match when it doesn't make sense. And a lot of people do that to get into these programs. We don't want that. If you're a solo founder and that's working for you, great. come in, apply to the program. If things go well, great. If you need a co-founder, we can help you find it.
Yeah, and a big aspect of our program is it is a part-time program, and we're very flexible in the sense of timing, and we just really stress communication at the point of, you know, attending curriculum and things of that sort. So we're very flexible, and we totally understand that it does take a lot to be a founder, and we do stress that it is a part-time program.
Next question from Daniel Chen. Have there ever been college students that have been part of the program? So we've had a number of grad students in the program. In this current version of the program, we have not had any undergrads, but in the predecessor program, we did in the third cohort. So that's not outside the bounds of possibility. And it is a part-time program. Like, we want to make sure that we're flexible and allowing you to do the other things you have to do in your life.
Okay, is that the end of our questions from folks? Well, if that is the case, again,
There's
we
one question in the chat about connecting to utilities to city agencies, or we already did do that one.
We touched on that. We piggybacked off of another one.
Great.
Yeah. All right. Well, again, thank you all for joining. We will be sending out this webinar and the presentation deck for you to reference back to. But again, F Success is open right now. Go ahead and take a look at it. If you have questions, reach out. But it was great to share all of this information with you all. And we hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. Take care, everyone.
One last question
Oh,
from the Q&A.
okay.
Joe James, when are applications due? So quick reminder, everyone, applications are due March 1st.
March 1st.
But we are going to be starting to review early applications in mid-February. So if you get them in earlier, thank you. We love that.
Yeah. That was the one thing I was going to say. Yeah, the earlier, the better. I totally understand time happens and things like that. We do tend to get a lot of applications in at the bottom, which is obviously acceptable, but we really appreciate earlier applications.
There might be a version here if like that we actually start looking at applications early as like an early interview set. So if you want to be in that, we encourage you to apply early.
Mhm.
Are there any other accelerators or programs you recommend looking at as well? Yeah, I mean, there's tons. One great resource for you to look at that basically has all of it is CTVC. They have an accelerator list in which they talk through kind of like a one-liner description of what each is and what they're looking for. So I think we're on that list. We're on that list. So CTVC, Climate Tech VC is what it's short for. So you can go ahead and check that out. Okay, so let's actually roll it back. There's actually a lot more questions now. So
Yeah.
how does F Success work with the recommendation letter? Do my referees receive an email from F Success?
Devin, do you know that one?
Yeah, so you put in the reference letter request, and then F Success will send them an email, and they'll have to set up an account to fill that out, I believe.
Okay, the video recorder upload. We'll be
Yes,
sending you
this is being recorded and we'll send it out afterwards to the email that you registered with.
and the presentation as well. Yes. I'm gonna wait a 10 like seconds just in case any other questions fly in. Okay, I think we have covered it all.
Yeah.
Okay, awesome. Well, with that, okay. Any resources for finding community solar project?
Just anywhere in New York State? Is there any follow-on on that? Or like nationally? Like what area are you looking for? New York State. Okay.
Like to work with or to like
So
buy solar from?
There's a NYSERDA Find a Community Solar Project page. I think this link in the chat will hopefully work. Actually, I'll send you this as a message. And feel free to follow up with me directly. My email is just devin.sandin@nextcore.org.
You want to drop that in the chat, Devin? Okay.
Yeah.
Does funding come in chunks? Yes, it does. We went over it in the three-phase slide. So if you missed that, you can come back to that. It'll tell you exactly what each phase unlocks.
Can also throw in the chat 1 second.
All right. After Devin is done throwing his contact information in the chat, I think.
Scott threw it in already.
Okay, great. Okay, any other questions? Okay. All right, thanks for joining us, everyone, and we'll see you soon.
Thank you all.
Thanks, everyone.